Welcome to Personal Mastery Training. I'm your host, Alvin Brown, former world class athlete turned entrepreneur and consultant. Join us as we learn from guests who have conquered their inner battles and share their journeys to success. Get ready for inspirational masterclasses and thought provoking strategy sessions to fuel your path to personal mastery. Let's dive in.
Did you guys watch the fight yesterday from Francis Ngannou or heard about it?
I heard he took care of him pretty quick.
Yeah, first round, couple minutes, and it made me think of something. Right, he was full of emotions after that because, as you know, in the past year, his son died. His 18-month-old baby boy died.
I
Okay,
didn't know
his only child, and it was a birth defect, really a birth heart defect. And as he was traveling for work, he just gets a call from back home in Cameroon saying that his son is going in and out of consciousness and he's in the hospital. And next thing you know, he's dead, just like that, just like that.
Wow.
And yeah, yeah. And obviously it crushed him because you got this big, strong guy who fought through so many things. Okay, just to become the UFC champion at first, you heard the story. Man, this man like almost died. I don't know how many times. Went through this amazing story. So he fought all his life, but the one thing that mattered most, what hurt him the most is that he said, I have all this money now, I have all these resources. I couldn't even fight to keep him here. I mean, it happened so quick and he was taken away. And yeah, he's been struggling with that. And you could tell it's been weighing on him very heavy. So, what I want to talk about today is just finding a way instead of finding an excuse. Okay. Finding a way instead of finding an excuse. Because sometimes you could have all the reasons in the world to give yourself excuses. Okay. And we've all been in this situations. Nothing goes well, man. Me, sorry, me this, sorry, me that. But you know what? Sometimes you need to surround yourself with people who hold you up. Sometimes you need to attach yourself, hold on to something that's bigger than you. And right now, that's what he's doing. That's what he's saying. He's really fighting for his son. So Francis Ngannou was a dangerous man. It's probably 10 times more dangerous now, with the reason that he has to fight. So I could just feel it, man. Obviously, being a father, like all of us are, uh, losing a child like that. And again, having acquired fame and all this money in the past few years, it all seems to not matter, anymore. It kind of puts everything back into perspective. But man, I just want to commend the strength of this man. Okay, the strength of this man of always finding a way, finding a way. Okay, so whatever challenges that we have in life, whatever we're facing, okay, what can we do right now to just take one step forward and to get to our goals, no matter what they are, to never say die in the end, because as long as we have breath, he could throw the towel right now. And that's what he felt like doing. Even on fight week, fight day, he didn't want to fight. And he said it. He's like, man, I was in the locker room all week crying. And my coach is basically, man, holding me up. And my coach is there for me. And he showed up. He showed up, found a reason to do it, and became a PFL champion. And we know it. The fight game, especially mixed martial arts, to make a name for yourself and be that big outside of the UFC is not easy. The UFC is a monster. He found a way to do that. Okay. So that's really the message today. Find a way instead of finding an excuse.
Wow, this is really one of the, I think, one of the major um, keys or critical points to understand and master in your life, right? It's such a great life lesson, and it's a prerequisite to success in life is finding a way. Because regardless of our vocation, level of education, we're going to be challenged with obstacles. And when we have the mindset that, hey, I'm going to find a way, then our brain is really wired to do just that. Even when we're sleeping, our brain's finding a way to overcome our challenge. And it's such an interesting thing that I read this quote. It was a quote, and the guy was talking about how our brain works. And whenever we say I can't, then our conscious mind, whenever we say we can't, our subconscious mind, which is always running in the background, takes us at our word, right? It says, oh, okay, we can't. And doesn't do any more work on that issue, that challenge. However, when we reframe it and say, how can I? Now the subconscious mind goes to work figuring out a way through, around, over, or under, and beyond that obstacle that we're facing. So it's essential to success. It's a prerequisite to success. We're not going to be successful without finding a way. And it doesn't mean that that's going to be today either, right? It sometimes we can find a way in a day. Sometimes it takes a week. Sometimes it takes a month. Sometimes it takes a year. Sometimes it takes a decade, depending on how large the obstacle is that we're overcoming. However, it's always possible to find a way. And when we find a way, we win the day. So with that, I'll pass the mic.
And it's first, you guys, I can't see you. So I don't know what's going on with my phone or my camera here, but I just see me and it won't let me switch screens. But I think I'll be okay with that. So what an incredible discussion this is going to turn into. I'm sure we'll be at the end saying, man, round two, right? Or would be can't wait to hear what Al has to say. But finding a way, versus finding excuses, kind of summarizing a little bit what Ray was set the table with. For me, when I hear that and think about that, it comes down to a choice, right? We have choices to make all through life. I mean, we're making them subconsciously, our body, involuntary movements and muscle movements and things that our body is designed to do. And it happens without even thinking about it. But when it comes down to some sort of hardship in life, we have a choice to stop, to give up, to be defeated, to accept it, or we have a choice to say no. That I'm not going to accept this, and I'm going to set out to do what it is that I want to do, what I want to achieve, um, and that's powerful. And Charlie's absolutely right. You tell yourself, no, I can't do this, or this just is just the way it is. Then yeah, subconsciously your body is going to go down that path, and you're going to find very easily a number of reasons why you can't. It's going to be so easy. It's just like the theory of you know seeing a red car, right? You never see a red car. As soon as you see a red car, or you go buy a red car, excuse me, now you see red cars everywhere. Kind of thought or mindset. This is no different. You say no, I'm defeated, I can't do this, and then yeah, everything turns into that. It's the quitting mentality as well. I think plays a role here where you just give up and quit. It's just going to be easier the next time. And you look at those individuals that are highly successful or high achievers or they've accomplished a lot, and whether it's an athlete or someone's in business, ask them how many times they quit, or if you have that opportunity, or maybe do some research, and you'll probably find very few, if not at all, that they just continue to find a way to get it done. And with that, I'll pass the mic.
Um, what both of you guys said, so true, but I want to piggyback on where you just left off, Brandon, where you're talking about athletes, or very, very successful people that we look at. If we ask them how many times that they quit, one thing we forget to see in this whole equation, okay, is that obviously themselves and ourselves need to have that commitment and mindset to see things through. But a lot of these guys, man, they're human also, and they face mountains where in their minds, man, that question pops up. That question definitely pops up. And they're like, man, do I love this as much as I love this, man? Why do I get myself through this? They need to find a way to climb that mountain. But it's really important to have uh, people in your corner who don't let you quit, who give you that fuel, and who literally have to drag you sometimes, drag you sometimes. And great example, my son plays let's say little league basketball, okay, and he loves it, man. He's been at camp this summer. He got player of the week. So he's like, man, I want to play basketball. I'm like, okay. So we're signing him up, and every single week you can see him getting better and better and better. But at the end of the practice, they have a little game, okay? They have a little game, and they match them up. And usually the teams on the kids on the other team, they're a little bit more experienced, a little bit older. And in it, even though his team is doing well, they're losing. Okay, they're losing. And now I realize every Saturday morning when he has to go to practice, he tells me and his mother, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And I know him. He just hates losing. Okay. It's not that he doesn't like basketball. Everything that happened while in the practice, he forgets it and only remembers that little game where they lost by 8 points or 2 points. And he's like, I don't want to go. But you know what? I can't allow him to do that because I know how much he actually loves basketball. He loves being out there. Okay. I even look at my journey playing football, guys. I started playing, I was 13, 14 years old, and I was way too heavy. There was a weight limit, okay, a weight limit for my age group. And at that age, I was like 195 pounds. So I was about 30 pounds over the weight limit. So they had me playing with guys 2, 3 years older, and I knew nothing about football. And that year, guys, all I was doing was being pushed on my butt, not understanding what's going on, blindside here, blindside there. And I hated football. I quit. I literally quit. I told my parents, told my coach, I'm not coming back. And I had one coach, guys, coming to my house all summer, picking me up, bringing me to practice, did not allow me to quit. And to this day, now that I love this game, I give all the credit in the world to that man who's no longer with us now. He died, but if it wasn't For him, man, I wouldn't have seen it through. I needed him in my journey. He did that. He did that for me. Okay, so who are these people in your corner, in your life, when you really, really, really need it, who can look at you, know exactly who you are, know your heart, and man, carry you if they need to for that little moment. Do not let you go that path, because that's not really the choice you want to make, you know? And I think a lot of people go through this stuff at some point, at some point. Even me back in college, guys, waking up at 4:30 a.m., running all these sprints, garbage cans all around the football field. I'm from Canada, I'm down in Mississippi. It's hot, vultures running running over you. I'm asking myself, man, I want to talk to my mom. Why am I here? Why am I even here? Do I like football this much? But I did. I did, right? So I pushed through, but I also had coaches, teammates, people in these moments that are like, keep going, keep going. All right. So I think that's an important thing. Shout out to all these people in our lives. Um, I want to share a quick wisdom with you guys also that I found this morning from Leora Alderson. And she says, excuses do not satisfy the soul. Excuses do not get the work done. Excuses keep you from yourself. What is personal mastery? In the end, it's a lot of things, but it's also reconnecting with ourselves, finding who we truly are, what we're truly capable of, and doing this on a consistent basis every single day, being on that journey, right? Excuses are not good for our soul. They're not food for our soul. Okay. They're not food for our soul. They're the opposite. I believe they starve our fire. I believe that's what they do. They starve our fire. So what can we do to actually fuel our fire? Give ourselves that strength, that energy in the moments where we need it the most. Do we know what to do ourselves in order to do that? And if not, do we have the right people around us to remind us when it's most needed? Let's make sure, we don't let anything keep us from ourselves. Keep us from ourselves. And with that, I'll pass the mic. You're on mute, my friend. You're on mute, Charlie.
There we go. Another wonderful topic, fellas. And as you both were talking, it reminded me of this research I'd done about the reticular activating system, right? And it's a part of our brain. I looked it up here. It is a network of neurons in the brain stem that regulate a variety of functions, including, and the one I'm focusing on is where the RAS helps you focus and pay attention to things that are important to you, right? So when we decide that we're going to find a way, right, we activate that reticular activating system. And so that part of our brain is always looking for things to help us overcome the obstacle, right? Whether that's every red car or it's just an interesting thing. I could be in a bookstore, right? I was in a bookstore yesterday, which is my favorite store in the world, by the way. I was in a bookstore and the shelves covered with books, right? Covered. And what does my brain focus in on? See that, but it's a book. It's all the time in the world. It's about managing time. Well, what have I been working on lately? Right, managing my time, and it says learn to control your experience of time to live a life without limitations. But there must have been on this bookshelf, there must have been 500 books facing me. And what does my brain go? Zoop. focus right in on this, right? That's that RAS system at work. So we have all these tools innately built within us as human beings. However, we've got to challenge ourselves to activate them, right? We got to challenge ourselves to activate them, right? And so this is such a great opportunity to kind of learn about how to do that. And then, Ray, what you said about having people in your corner, coaches, mentors, friends, someone that has your back and that's going to push you and it's not going to accept your excuses, not going to accept it, right? And it's not easy to hear that we need to do better or we can do better, but we need somebody like this. And I know one of the, in the US anyway, I can't speak for other countries, but in the US, one of the common mistakes that I see leaders make is they surround themselves with people that always agree with them. Okay. And that's so problematic because you're not going to grow, you're not going to have any original ideas. And if you get off track, you're going to stay off track because you don't have anyone to say, hey, that's not a good idea, or hey, there's a better way. Okay. So we need to have people in our life that tell us the truth, right? And we need that. And it's essential to us as human beings because sometimes we're wrong. We might believe a certain thing, we might have a perception a certain way. Sometimes that's incorrect. And we need a friend, a trusted ally to say, hey, that's not a good path, and here's why. Or you can do better, and here's how. Okay. Huge. Another piece of this, in finding a way instead of finding an excuse, this is the magic to me of success. We don't need to find 100 ways. We don't need to find 1,000 ways. We need to find one way that works. One. We only need to find a one. Now, down the road, we might be like, hey, Brandon, I found 7 ways to get there. But initially, we need to find the one way to get there. We only need one. And really, in the life to be successful, we don't need 100 great ideas. We don't need 1,000 great ideas. We need one well-executed idea to be successful in this world. One, right? So we're always one idea away. We're always one person away from completely changing the trajectory of our life. It's amazing. So with that, I'll pass the mic.
Man. Yeah, that is so true. One idea away, and the one person. I'm gonna go back to the people around you, how critical that is. It really is. You mentioned, Charlie, having those folks that agree with everything you say. Even if that's extremely dangerous to have a circle around you of individuals, or even if it's just one individual that is, always telling you, yeah, that's right. It never questions, never throws any other ideas out there. Never questions the status quo as a leader or whatever role you may be in, and how dangerous that is. Because if you're wrong and they're still telling you you're right, that could be very detrimental and have huge issues, or cause a number of different complications. And it's the ripple effect, right? You throw a pebble into the pond, that ripple is going to hit all the shores, right? It's going to spread out, and having the wrong people around you telling you you're right when you very well could be wrong is dangerous. And it is so important to have those people that you trust. That was something you mentioned, Charlie, just a moment ago, is trust, and how that's important. And unfortunately, I feel like the world we live in today, whether it's, like society, people just don't trust really anyone or anything anymore. And having those individuals around you that you can truly trust, that care about you and your well-being, is important. So I think finding that person or persons is important as well. uh you think about I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. Um, it wasn't Alexander Graham Bell. It was Thomas Edison, right? And the light bulb. How many times did he try to invent that light bulb? And everybody told him he was crazy, but he was trying to find that way rather than an excuse. And it only took one. And now look at us. Look at where we're at today, talking on these small devices, and we're thousands of miles away from each other. And it all started with electricity and in many aspects and an idea, right? I think that I want to touch on. I'm going to kind of throw a curveball to you guys. There's a lot of people out there that either feel like or really don't have somebody, right? They are truly alone in some aspect. And I'm speaking from a personal experience standpoint. There's been times in my life when I have been completely alone. I haven't had a friend. I haven't had anyone to lean on. I haven't had that support there to lift me up or to turn to. I had to find a way, and I think there's some beauty in that, when especially looking back, when you are able to achieve. And that you talked about, Ray, you talked about excuses don't feed us, they starve us, they starve out our fire. But man, the choice to continue to find a way to persevere, to not give up, to not quit, and to continue to push forward, that's fuel. The refusal to give up and just be, hey, this is just it's for me, and the experience I have had, and other folks that I know have been in this position, that's fuel to the fire, right? And there's a drive there of, this is not how I'm going to end up. This is not going to be my story. This is not success to me, right? And I'm going to keep going. And sometimes, you talked about the athlete, Ray, and you think about what goes into their training. You know, we're all some kind of athlete in a different way, right? Whether it's work related, the working athlete, that's a catchphrase in the construction industry right now. But just as humans, what are we doing to train ourselves? Right? What are you doing to better yourself? Charlie, you're talking about the way the brain's wired, and you're going to a bookstore, and something, a topic you're focused on, and your brain takes you just to, like, it was the only book on the shelf, right? That's from training and constant learning, right? The consistency of an evolution of developing yourself and bettering yourself. Um, so that's my question: is what are we doing to find a way, right? What are we what are we training for? What does your training look like? With that, I'll pass the mic.
That's a great question, Brandon. That's a great question, and probably three, four more of these conversations that could come up just of this one question. And you're so right. Just with that choice, it activates something. It taps into something deeper when the human spirits decide, this is not how I'm gonna go out. And then you see through problems. It's a weird thing, but like this mountain that was ahead of you, or this fire that's ahead of you that you're afraid to touch, that you're so afraid that it will consume you, you decide, hey, let me go through it and see what happens. Okay, let me go through it. And then you realize it really wasn't what you thought it was, or it really wasn't what you thought it was, or maybe it really hurt you, but then you look around and you're still here. You're still here. Then you realize, okay, can it really stop me? Can it really hold me down? Unless I let it? And that's an important realization. That's a very important realization to find out in our lifestyle. And that's why we always say, man, go after your fears. Go after your fears. I love courage. Okay. And I try to remind myself as much as possible to stay courageous in this life because it gives me a lot of truth. Okay. It gives me a lot of truth when I decide to be courageous and go through something, no matter what. So how do we train ourselves? Well, Charlie's a good example. Brandon, you're a good example. Our man Alvin, who's not here, is a great example. But I want to challenge everyone that's listening on something, including myself. Okay. You don't need 1,000 ways, as Charlie said. You only need one. Okay. But if you look at the greatest investors in the world, athletes, businessmen, leaders, okay, they found that way, but they committed 10 years to it. Okay. Are you willing to put in that time? No matter what. Are you expecting something to happen just out of thin air right now? Because today you decided, okay, uh, I'm gonna attack this problem, and today this problem will go away. That's not how it works. So yeah, I want to talk about that 10 years. And why 10 years? Because we're 10,000 hours, as we say. Okay. Because it's true commitment. It's not a trend. It's not about I'm motivated today. It's really about, I'm taking this, I'm putting it in the center of my life, and I'm fully committing to it because it's that important to make sure that I develop myself every single day, that I train myself every single day, that I give myself all the tools possible to see it through and to fulfill my potential or to see how far it goes. That's a really important thing that's important to be said. Okay, do we want things too fast, or are we really committing over the long haul? Because life, love, or whatever, it isn't easy, but it's worth it. It's worth it, right? And if it is, man, I need to understand, man, I gotta be in this for real. And I won't go into details, and I forgot which one of you said it, but the danger of having people who don't tell you the truth, who don't tell you the truth. Um, I'm in a situation with my brother right now. I won't go into details, but uh, out of love, I tell him the truth, you know, and I tell him the truth knowing that he will probably get away from me or try everything he can to get away from it. I love him enough to tell him anyways. And if that happens, well, that happens. Right. So it's not because I don't love him, or it's not because I'm not there. It's because that's what needs to be done. Okay, that's what needs to be done. So who loves you enough to tell you the truth, risking that? Okay. That's true love. Or do you love yourself enough to tell yourself the truth, risking to face the mirror? Okay. Risking to face the mirror. I find through commitment, through making a simple choice every day, you don't have to take a million choices, as we said, just taking one choice, write it down, do that one action. You actually show yourself true love. You really do. You really do. And yeah, with that, I'll pass the mic.
Oh, love it, love it, love it. So much there to unpack. Something you mentioned there, Ray, with putting in that work, putting in that time. to build, and that goes on the personal side too, not just business success, personal mastery, when we're building relationships. So I was thinking, one of my daughters was over yesterday and we spent the afternoon and early evening together. And it was a wonderful time, right? And we did a few different things, culminating in dinner, and then I took her home. But I was thinking as you were speaking, she's 23 years old. It's taken us 23 years to build that relationship. 23 to get to this level, right? Got a great relationship with my oldest daughter. 27 years to build that relationship. She'll be 28 next month. My son, 26, took us 26 years to build that relationship. My youngest daughter, 22. It's been 22 years building that relationship. That's the commitment we have to make. We can't put in a weekend, put in a hard month, and then, oh, this isn't working. It's not how it goes. There's ebbs and flows, there's peaks and valleys, but the key is progressing, right? Making progress. And I think the other thing too in all of this that's so important is when advice is offered to you, or when people come to us and say, hey, this can be better, or question us or challenge us, we've got to allow that. We've got to allow people to challenge us. We've got to allow people to question us. Because if we don't allow it, we're going to keep ourselves from ourselves, right? Because people are going to stop coming. If we're combative, dismissive, rude, condescending, whatever all these defense mechanisms are to keep people away from us. And the thing about all of this is really getting to our true selves, right? Getting to our core and becoming the best version of ourselves that we can be. And the only way to get there is through challenge, right? Through obstacles, through adversity, right? And it took a long time for me to learn this, but I'm glad I finally did. People don't really want to go through the adversity, right? Really don't want to go through the challenges, the pain, the heartache, the disappointment, the difficulty. But the reality is, there are lessons within those things, the challenge, the obstacles, the pain, the heartbreak, the difficulty. There are lessons that only those experiences can teach you. Success can't teach us those lessons. So we need the lessons. We need the challenge, the overcoming, the disappointment, the heartbreak. We need all those things. And we need those lessons that they bring in order to achieve. Then we use those lessons to build the kind of life, to build the kind of character, to build the kind of individual we want to be, so that that individual is capable and able to achieve those fantastic things that we have in our mind. But we're not going to be at that level without the challenge, without the difficulty, without the loneliness, all the stuff that's there. And I had such a tough childhood, traumatic, right? But it took a long time to make peace with that. But I know that those challenges overcome are now assets. They're assets, right? Having friends that you thought were friends and they turn out not to be. Your selection process is a lot better because of that. And then when you have a great friend, when you have a true friend, you recognize it and you understand the value of it. And you also understand the rarity of it. Okay. So these things are all, again, prerequisites to where we want to become, and where we want to go. However, think about going through school to graduate, whether you're going through high school, in the States high school or college, 4-year degree, or want to get a master's degree or a doctorate. There are prerequisites that you have to accomplish and go through before you achieve that final role, before you get that title, right? You get awarded, that degree. But without it, you don't get to graduate. you don't get that degree. And so without accomplishing all the prerequisites necessary for that degree, you will never graduate. And so what happens when we avoid challenges, when we avoid difficulties, we're never going to graduate to who we can truly become. And with that, I'll pass the mic.
Mm. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. You know, I want to back up to the time aspect, you know, and we were talking about challenges and adversity. I had someone share with me the other day. They said to me, the best teacher is time and pain.
Hmm.
And it's like, ooh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and here we are talking about, Charlie, you were just talking about putting in the work, right? The work and how things take time, you know, and Ray, you were talking about the commitment aspect, 10 years. And I think we can't talk about this stuff, you know, generationally speaking, those of us, you know, the three of us, the four of us, including Al, definitely grew up in a different time. And I think that has had an impact. You know, my theory, it's had an impact on society and the generations that have come after us, and even our generations and even old generations prior to us have now become acclimated to this thing called the internet, right?
Mhm.
And if we go back 20 some odd years and look at it, the progression over time, we live in a world with humans that their brains are wired subconsciously, if you will. And I'm sure Charlie, you may be able to talk to this a little better than I can, but where the idea of time it isn't even on their radar. It's not even a factor, right? Because they can type it in, they can Google it, they can YouTube it, they can search for it, and boom, it's right there. Right. The thought process, this is going to take time to be successful. This is going to take time to reach my goals. I don't think is necessarily considered. And you see these folks that when they don't achieve, you know, the instant gratification or that instant result, it is so much easier for them just to give up in some cases or to quit. But then I also think there's an opportunity because of the technology that it's probably easier in many cases to find a different way, right? To navigate a different direction or a different, you know, find a different a path and solution to whatever their challenge is. So it's you know, I'm not sure if it really is balancing out a little bit. You guys, does this make any kind of sense at all? You know what I'm
It
saying
does.
here?
It
But
does.
I think the time there's a certain aspect where folks have lost the understanding of if you're going to put in the work to get to where you know your whatever your goal is, whether it's climbing that mountain. People just don't set out like, hey, I'm gonna go climb Everest, right? And they just don't book a ticket and go and climb that mountain, right? There's months, if not years, of preparation, of training and supplies and planning, and almost anything you do in life. There are many things it probably should be that way, and we don't always address it that way. We don't always take the time to plan that out, to lay out that path and prepare for it. It's just, I'm going to go do it. No, it doesn't work. We hit a wall, and many stop short of what they're really truly capable of achieving, which is unfortunate. Charlie, you also talked about uh, you know, you mentioned, you know, your childhood briefly and experiences in life, and again, not going to get into mine either. But I wouldn't change. I say this quite a bit in various settings and discussions and presentations I do, but I look back and every experience I've been through, good and bad, I've been able to learn and grow from. And I embrace that rather than being ashamed of it. I don't, or guilt of it, or I've gotten to a place in life, and it's taken time. I'm in my 40s where, you know, years ago probably wouldn't feel the same way as I do today. but time has allowed me to evolve and grow, where those experiences I appreciate, and I've learned, and I look for what's the lesson in that. What did I learn from it, and the beauty of that. So with that, I'll pass the mic.
Yeah. Technology, pain, time, for sure. You're making me go back to the archives, Brandon, and to the archives, because I'd done a presentation on exactly this topic, and I called it purposeful pain.
Ooh.
Purposeful pain. Okay. And without going through the whole presentation, one thing that stood out as I was really studying the subject is that the cure for pain is in the pain. It's in there. You know, it's not somewhere else. It's right in there. The purpose for it is in there. The lessons for it are in there. And I don't know what you guys think about that, but I also tend to believe that, okay, what drives most people every single day is pleasure. Okay. They want to attain pleasure. They want to be comfortable. Uh, we want the easy path, right? We want to stay away from pain as much as possible. Naturally, that's what we're inclined to do. But what is it that we truly seek? Okay. What is it that we truly seek? Because for me, when I look at it, if I have to choose pleasure or I have to choose happiness, true happiness, I want true happiness. But sometimes true happiness might come from pain, might come from adversity. Sometimes I can choose pleasure and be miserable, okay, and be totally miserable, right? So if we go back to the source and asking ourselves, what is it that we truly seek today in our lives, okay, in our lives? Is it being comfortable or is it growing, you know? Can we be truly happy staying stagnant our whole life? Can we be truly happy never attempting anything? And again, I don't know, I'm not in everyone's mind, but for me, I can't be truly happy, living like that. So, man, how do we create true happiness in the end? It's living the whole experience, the whole experience. And the whole experience doesn't come without adversity. And we said it a couple of weeks back. Pain is non-negotiable. Okay, let's bring it back. It is non-negotiable. It's gonna happen, whether you like it or not. What we're really talking about is the preparation, okay, of how we're gonna react to it, of what's gonna be our next move when it knocks at the door, because it will. Will we be prepared, okay, to find a cure in it, or will we run, okay, or will we fall? And that just comes by, again, making choices every single day, committing to them, surrounding yourself with the right people, kind of everything that we talked about. But yeah, and we go back to how this call even started with Francis Ganu. There's purpose in that pain, man. There's purpose in that pain that's touching a lot of people right now. That's touching a lot of people. Okay. And what I thought was great about the fight also yesterday is that it wasn't about a belt. It wasn't about money. It wasn't about any of that. It was simply about, hey, I want you guys to hear my son's name, because every time I fight, every time I punch somebody in the head, it's for my son, for his name to live on. And that's what my life is dedicated to right now. That's some powerful stuff. And it reminded me, and I'm sure a lot of people, of small truths, little things that are so powerful, is living for something that's bigger than yourself. It's not always just about you, okay? It's not always just about you, this life. Why are we even here? Why are we even here? Is it simply about us? Not necessarily, because man, as I've grown to know Charlie and Alvin, and as I'm growing to know Brandon and spending time with you guys every single day, yes, I'm definitely gaining from our conversations, but man, I appreciate you guys. I care about you guys. I want to contribute to you guys. And I believe, man, what happens in these calls just spreads out and goes to our families, goes to our people that work with us, and far beyond that. So it's really not just about us. It's something bigger. And that's awesome. That matters. That matters. And man, let's even think of our story. Brandon, you have an amazing story. Charlie, you too, me too. Is that story what it is without pain? Are you the man that you are without pain? No. Man. Yeah, man. So I'm just keeping that idea in my mind of this sword being sharpened, okay, being sharpened, and it's rough for that sword, but it's being sharpened into something that's totally different. That's totally different. So yeah, the cure for pain is in the pain itself. And I'll pass the mic.
I love this conversation, and it reminded me of a Truman Capote quote. I just pulled it up. It says, "Failure is the condiment that gives success its flavor." When you said pain, right? And you said without pain, would you be who you are? Would you have the success? Yeah, failure is a condiment that gives success its flavor. That's Truman Capote. And so pain has a purpose, right? It has a purpose. However, we have to fully embrace that purpose so that we can grow. But if we continue to run away from pain and try to avoid it, then it loses its purpose and it's just suffering, right? It's just suffering. We're just running away from suffering instead of running towards our personal mastery, as Alvin would say. So here's the other thing when I was thinking about pain, when you kicked off the conversation talking about Francis Ngannou, and for years I would watch boxing, and I love that sweet science, and because it's an art and a science, right? However, within that, fighters, they have to overcome their opponent, but most importantly, they have to overcome themselves, right? And that's the challenge. And you can see how two people are fighting and they're trying to impose their will on the one versus the other. And a lot of times when someone is challenging the champion, right? They get in there and they see the champion and they become afraid, right? And then they don't really apply their training. They throw things out the window and they don't really give their full effort to trying to win that fight. And the champion's job is to make sure that the challenger knows they're the champ and the challenger stays afraid. And the challenger, don't you dare challenge me, right? And then the champ will win that fight, maintain that status. But here's the magic of the challenger. And I remember hearing commentators, people that have been in the fight business for years, been training fighters for years. This was a secret, and that champions know this. That challenger, if that challenger ever gets brave, they never go back to being afraid. So during that fight, if they get brave, they never go back to being afraid. And now, when the challenger is brave, oh, it's a fight now, right? That champion is going to get challenged and taken to the end and might lose their title because the challengers become brave. So relate that. I'm getting chills thinking about this. So as individuals, when we fight through our fears, because we have to fight through them, and become brave, and so you can endure that pain, right? You can walk through it, and then you become brave, you're going to never go back to being afraid. You're going to stay brave. And when you stay brave, now the world's your oyster. There's nothing that you can't accomplish, put your mind to, but you got to be brave. And the only way to become brave is to walk through all that fear, to walk through all that pain. And then you walk through that pain, you're like, you know what? I've been through all this pain, man. Nobody's telling me no. Nobody's going to deny me now. I'm not going to let this stop me. I've been through too much. I'm coming. I'm going to knock that door down, right? And that's the mentality. And I remember as an athlete, I was a football player as well, American football, played same as Ray. And did you play some ball, Brandon, in your day? I got to believe.
Just in high school. I didn't play
Yeah.
after that. Nah.
But I just remember running around. My folks lived by this lake. I remember running around that lake, and it was 6 miles from my house around the lake and back. It was 6 miles. I drove it. I knew it. It was dirt road, gravel road, hills. It was a nasty run. And then
Oof.
the weights after that. And I remember, Friday nights not having a date. And I'm thinking with every step, right? Saturday night, not having a date. All these guys, they're dating their girlfriends. Guess what's going to happen when we get on that field? So, man, summer, fall, winter, I'm running around that lake and lifting those weights. And when we got in the middle between those white lines, I was like, nobody's taking this from me. Like, there's no one on this field that has put in this work. Now, who knows if that's true? But the fact of the matter is, I believed it. I know most of them had. I know that guy doesn't. But I know he was over there, and I saw him, right? And so they couldn't play with me, right? And I could go to that next level because I had put in that pain. And I mean, every step I was thinking, I can't wait to just unload on. Wait till we get the pads on. Wait till we get to hit. Wait till we get Oklahoma drill. I'm gonna show them, right? I'm just going out there, and crushing people because the pain had given me the confidence, had given me the strength, had given me the tools to overcome people that hadn't walked through that pain, right? And so I love that process. And the crazy thing about pain, and anyone that lifts weights knows this, it starts to feel good.
Yes. Yes, it does.
When it starts to feel good, you got something, you know what I mean? You're like, oh man, I put in work. I can feel, it starts to feel good. And now you got everything you need to be successful. So with that, I'll pass it.
Hey, Brandon, if I can throw out something real
No,
quick.
jump in, take it.
Perfect. About the pain, especially of lifting. You know what I've been taught and what I'm teaching athletes also is when the pain arrives, okay, when you're lifting weights, you tend to see guys, let's say they're on the bench press, okay, and they're close to their max. What do? They close their eyes, okay? They close their eyes, they tense up, they raise a leg, it's over. It's over. So what I've been taught, and it's drilled deep within me, is that when the pain comes, that's when you get calm, okay? That's when you get calm That's when you breathe. That's when you focus in even more
Hmm.
on the bar. That's when you're at peace. When you know what it is, okay, you're not afraid of it anymore. You know it cannot hurt you. You know this is just something that in a matter of seconds will go away. I know exactly what it is. I don't have to panic. Panic doesn't work. It never worked. Okay. I can be calm. So now I can be that warrior who's the most dangerous warrior. Why? Because I'm not angry, you know. I'm 100% strategic and methodically attacking this thing because now I know what it is. And that's the powerful thing about allowing yourself to feel this pain because you know exactly what to do. When people start to panic, you get calm. You get calm, and that's very dangerous. I'll
It's
just
it,
pass the mic.
that man, we could talk a whole session on just that because that is 100% correct. Uh, in the moments of chaos, always look for the quiet guy
Yeah.
that's calm because there's your answer.
Mhm.
That's there's your solution, man. Charlie, Charlie, you could speak much more in depth on this, but from what I know from lifting weights, that analogy is so accurate.
Yeah.
You know, the pain. Those of us are crazy. We crave the pain, right? I'm crazy about lifting weights. I love lifting weights. It's therapeutic for me. But also I have personal physical fitness goals that I'm reaching for, right? And I'm striving to get to. But if you break it down, the what happens when you lift, right, and through the pain in that aspect, we're tearing the muscles, right? We're basically destroying them. You could even take it,
Yeah.
look at it from that perspective. So we're destroying something in order to make it better, in order to grow it, right? We're tearing it down, and through that, it's painful. But those of us that are fitness junkies are really into it. The world that you live in, Ray, and Al as well. There you have to experience that pain. You have to destroy it to make it better for it to grow and evolve. And there is the pain in that, and there's beauty in that. It's just interesting because like you said earlier, pain's non-negotiable, and you're not going to get better. You're not going to grow. You're not going to evolve unless you experience the pain. Ultimately, you're destroying what was to a certain degree, right? You're tearing it apart in order to make room for more. And there's a lot there to unpack as well. Um, there's Charlie, you mentioned something as well. Let's see my notes here. Oh, the magic of the challenge. There it is, right there. I've got all these notes. The magic of the challenge uh, is to be brave, right? And fear is crippling. It's debilitating. I've known folks that have had high anxiety and individuals that are scared to go outside of their comfort zone or they're out into the world in some cases and be around other people, right? They're antisocial. And there's so many directions you can go with that, but the fear can cause you to miss out, right? It can cause you to not achieve your goals if you just sit in that fear rather than become brave. And I think it's so important to be brave, to not to make that choice, to not accept the perceived reality of this is as good as it gets. I don't think that's not reality. It's truly not reality for almost everyone, right? We could all be so much more, but sometimes we just settle for it out of strictly fear. Um, and I would just encourage people to be brave for sure, because you can accomplish so much. And whatever your opponent is now put on the defense, right? They weren't expecting many cases, a lot of individuals, a lot, out there in the world don't expect much from some people, right? Their view of them may be lesser. And I would just encourage folks to be brave, that you're much more than that. So with that, I'll pass the mic.
I forgot in which book I read this, but there was a story of a female warrior who beat fear. Okay. And that was a really interesting story, guys. And I'll tell it to you real quick. So all these strong warriors, they try to go up against fear, and they all got basically annihilated, killed. And then there was this woman, okay, that said, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna beat fear. So she shows up, and then she's right in front of fear. And what she does differently than all the other male warriors is that instead of just trying to fight it and react, she asks fear, how can I beat you? Okay. She asks. And what fear says is that, I get really big, I get fiery, I make a lot of noises, and then people, they get afraid. Okay. They get afraid, and that's how I beat them. That's how I beat them. So she decides she's gonna be still. She's gonna be still, and she's gonna let all of that pass, and then realize that really fear had no bullets. Fear had absolutely nothing for her. Okay, because she didn't react. And that's how she overcame fear. Okay, and I think that's a great lesson for everyone to hear, because that's what fear does to us. It becomes this huge thing, but most often than not, that's not what it is. And both of you guys, man, great points. I think, Charlie, you heard about that once because I said it once, but I'll say it again for this one because I think it's very pertinent, again, when it comes to fear. Especially, you talked about challengers as they become brave. What happens is difficult to go back. Again, I go back to football because I believe there's lessons for everything there. But I played on this team, and we had commandments. Commandments, okay? And this team was here, is the winningest team here in Quebec football history, where I'm from, okay? That's where I played. And I come in as a rookie, and I think they won the equivalent of 4 state championships in a row at that time. We were going for a 5th one, okay? And game 1, the coach as the team captain in the middle, and he goes through the commandments. And I'll tell you guys the commandments and what do they mean real quick, okay? So commandment number 1 was respect nobody. And it didn't mean do not respect your opponent. What it meant is that it doesn't matter who we're playing, whether they're the best player in the league, the best team in the league, do we heard this or that about them, they're gonna have to show us today. We're gonna have to find out. We're not just giving you the red carpet. We're out here. You're gonna have to show us, okay? So just coming in with that mindset, you're not playing second fiddle to nobody. It could be the Baltimore Ravens who won the Super Bowl with Ray Lewis. They're gonna have to show me, and if they're just better, I'll shake their hands at the end of the game. But from the first moment when the whistle blows, we're out there, we're on them. So that was number 1, and I think that's an important thing when it comes to mindset. Okay, number 2 was no fear, play physically. Okay, that comes from what are your intentions in the end? Okay, how do you attack? I believe it's not enough just to win. I believe, and Coach Primetime says that with Colorado. He said it's about how you win. How you win. You can win the wrong way. Okay, you might have been lucky today. Maybe you played really bad, and it's gonna catch you. It's gonna catch you next game. It's about how you win. How do you approach every single play? What are your intentions? For us, It was about being physical. It was about being on the attack in absolutely everything that we do, from the first man to the last man. Everyone's gonna hit something today, every single play. Okay, so that was commitment number 2. Number 3, it was remember your job. Remember your job. Everyone has a role, whether you're part of a team. Okay, what is your role? Do you champion your role? Do you have enough humility not to try to be the hero right now and just do what you're asked to do? So if we look at it on a personal level, what is our job? What are our goals? What do we commit to? What is our game plan? Do exactly what's asked to do today. If you have this big goal, trying to do everything today won't reach your goal. Won't get you to the goal. It's that one little action. Number 4, it was about having fun, because in the end, you want to enjoy the journey. Okay. There are moments in this game where you will be down, and you gotta expect it, because the higher level that you play, man, you're playing against good guys too. You won't be on top all the time. If you're in that championship fight, you gotta expect to get punched in the mouth. It's gonna happen. Okay, that guy's a champion too. Okay, he's not gonna lay down. So you need to come in there understanding that, so that you don't feel down when things don't go your way. It's part of the process. Same thing in life, but have fun. You've made it this far, man. You get to experience this, man. Enjoy yourself. And the last one, okay, the last one was win. Okay, win. And that's when you just find a way. Doesn't matter how, you do it with integrity, but man, you find a way. If today it's gonna be by throwing the ball, if the next day it's gonna be by running the ball, if I'm the star running back and today they load the box and I can't run, I can't be mad because I don't get touches today. Okay? Do we want to win as a team? Are we going to find the right way to win today? And that's exactly what we said every single game, in the middle of the field, before we got to the game. And I could watch the opponents just watching that, just looking at that. And there's no question that we won 5 years in a row. It wasn't by accident, because these commandments, they still say them to this day, huh? Every single day, and they said them long before I was there too. So it's a tradition. It's something that's deep within the fabric of this football program, and it's something I even keep with me to this day when I think about it, because it translates to everything else in life. There's something in there for you. So I just wanted to share that with you, because I think it's perfect for this subject. And I'll pass the mic.
Brought back some memories there, Ray. I was thinking my freshman year playing football in high school, and that's probably played on a lot of really good teams. That's probably the greatest team I ever played on. We were undefeated that season, and I had really kind of my coming out, right, as that summer. That was my first real dedicated summer, where I decided, hey, last year I was a role player, but I wasn't the number one back. We had another guy that was the number one back. I was kind of number 2. And I was like, no, I want to be the guy, the number one guy. And it was funny because that guy that next year, he didn't even come out for football. Didn't even come out. And then I had put in the work. And so I was kind of the main go-to on the offense. I was a running back, and we had played this team so that year we went 7-0, but the year before we were 6-1, and this one team beat us 2-0. Well, I didn't play in that game. I was sick, which that's the last game I ever missed being sick. I would just play through it, but I was sick that game and didn't play. So they beat us 2-0. So we got to go back down there. Well, this is probably mid-season. Well, they knew I was the main back. So they decided, you know what, he's not doing all that against us. So it was obvious that they were keen on me at the outset, but our coach was very smart. And we ran the veer offense back then. And so our main play was 125 veer, 126 veer. That was our main thing. So, however, when they took that away, we had another counter off that. It looked like 125 veer, But instead of handing me the ball, the tight end would come down and take the linebacker, and I would kick out the defensive end. And then the quarterback would hand the ball to the fullback, which was my cousin, right? And I remember that game that he had 3 carries, Ray, 189 yards, and scored 3 times on that play, same play. And I just remember throwing my block, and looking down. And I look, then I look, and he was just getting small in the distance because he was our 100-meter guy. He was really fast. So, but it was about winning, as you said, and winning is fun, right? So looking at these commandments, and then my job in that case was not to carry the ball. My job was to block, to appear that I was going to get the ball, and then boom, I surprised them and knocked that defensive end down. And of course, we played physically. And we beat that team pretty bad. We beat them 36-0, on their home turf. It was kind of fun. But it was just that's a great memory for me. And it is about winning. And at the end of the day, when we're finding a way, that's what you're talking about. You're finding a way to win, right? We're whatever our challenge that we're overcoming, we're finding a way to win. And sometimes we have to win in different ways, right? We have to win in a support role versus being the main role, but we have to find a way to win. And one of the things I wrote down here early on is find a way, but find a team. Find your team. So folks that are watching, you're seeing part of my team, right? You see Ray, you see Brandon. Al's not on today, but they're on my team, and vice versa, right? And so when we're in life, when we're going through challenges, if my team is better than your team, we're going to beat you, right? If you don't have a team, I'm going to beat you because I'm coming and I have my team with me. So our team allows us to overcome a lot more challenges than we can ever by ourselves, right? So who's on your team? Well, it could be a spouse or a partner, could be a child, right? Could be a close friend, could be an attorney, could be your mechanic, could be your driver. There's so many people that make up my team, right? And help me become successful every day. They're not physically with me in the vehicle. They're not even physically with me on the stage when I speak, but I could be on a trip on my way to speak. Man, I need a little build up. I'm going to call Brandon. I'm going to call Ray. I'm going to call Alvin, give myself a little pump up. Yeah. All right, you got it. And boom, I'm on the stage because I got that motivation. I got that push. I got that nudge. I got that reassurance from my team. So days when I don't have all the juice, there's just days where you don't have the same juice that you did yesterday. And let me make a phone call, and then I get out of that car, I'm ready to roll, right? Because I got that recharge. The audience doesn't know. All they see is the finished product. They're like, oh, that was amazing. What they don't know is I have my team. My team helped me, right? Get to that point, have that confidence. And then once I got in there, the performance happened. But sometimes we just need that team behind us to give us that little bit of reassurance, that little bit of self-confidence. They can, that's why they call it encouragement, right? It gives you courage. When people encourage you, it gives you courage. It helps you become brave, right? So make sure when you're finding your way, it'll be easier if you find your team, and your team will help you find your way because you got more eyes and ears on the topic, on the goal. So with that, I'll pass the mic.
Good stuff. It's good stuff. I think just, as we wrap up here, final thoughts on my end is I echo what you just said, Charlie. If you're going to find a way, you really do need to find it's best to find a team. But also I think there's still going to be that small demographic out there that they don't always have a team. That team may come along eventually in life, but maybe where they're at right now, for those that may end up watching this and are listening, and you may feel like you don't have a team, or there's nobody in your corner. That's okay. You can, you can still find a way to reach your goals, to get through the challenge, embrace the pain, get to a place of loving the pain in a healthy way, for it to drive you, and that you have a choice at the end of the day. So with that, I'll pass the mic.
Yeah, me too. I think it's been said, for even my last words. I think they're pretty clear in my mind. It's simply keep going. Okay, keep going. That's it. Okay, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to run through the line. You can crawl through the line if you have to, but keep going. Keep going.
So my final thought, I want to piggyback. So Ray, perfect closing statement. Keep going. And then also to piggyback on what Brandon said, sometimes when you don't feel like you have a team, sometimes you need to step back and take a look around, because they're right under your nose.
Mm.
They're right under your nose. Who called to check on you? Who stopped by? And it's not the person, and a lot of times, sometimes it's not the person that you think should call or would call, that you think would stop by, that you think would check on you. I remember the last job I left, I got a call from a guy I used to work with. And he said, "Hey, I just want you to know that our friendship is not based on where you work. So, I'm here. You need anything, you call me." Well, that's not somebody I thought was on my team. But guess what? He's been on my team the whole time. I didn't know it. Now he's one of my best friends. Call me, check on me during this pandemic time. How are you? Crazy. So just look and see who called to check on you, who showed up. Guess what? They're on your team. All right, gentlemen. So this has been an awesome session.
Nice.
We
Awesome.
forgot Brandon. I want to hear Brandon's word.
Oh, I'm
Brandon's
sorry.
word. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you want to hear my word?
Yeah.
Well, so I was gonna go with time.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was considering pain, but I'm gonna go with time.
Nice.
Yep. What you guys got? What's the word of the week?
I think we're good. I think we're good. Mia was keep going. Charlie, man, you said it perfectly, and that's so true. Sometimes, man, there are people right there, who are on your team. They've been there all along. Sometimes you can't see it. You can't see it. So taking a step back is always exactly there. I call it being still. Being still. Look around, take a couple breaths, look around. You see a lot clearer.
And I think the word for me is bravery, right?
Mm.
That's the word, be brave. And it's just, the bully is not used to being attacked, right? The champion is not used to being attacked, right? And because everyone's afraid, fear is not used to being attacked, right? And so what you'll find when you attack those things, they diminish in strength and size. And just, you're like, oh, wait, I've been afraid of this. I've been afraid. I remember this one time I was we had this, I won't name his name, but I was working for FedEx at the time. And this region manager, we had a new region manager, he had like a military background. He was a big guy, and I was a little intimidated, and I remember I had to, and then I'd see him around. I was like, oh man, he was, fighter pilot and this and that, all this stuff he'd done. And then one day I had to take a note. I had to take a memo. My boss gave it to me. Hey, can you run this up to his office? I was like, oh, okay. So I'm running up to the office with this, and it was on the other side of the building. And the whole time I walk in, I'm so nervous. And I'm standing outside his door and I knock, waiting for him to look up before he lets me in and give him this thing. And he's sitting at his computer. You know what he's doing? Typing. He's doing this. He was hunting and pecking. He was typing with 2 fingers. And I'm like, I'm intimidated by this guy. He can't even type. You know what I mean? And he's just, I mean, not to diminish anything he'd accomplished.
Yeah.
He couldn't type. I'm just saying he was doing this, hunting and pecking. So I was like, man, here you go. I didn't throw it, but I was not intimidated after that. So, all right, fellas. Brandon got a visitor. It's awesome.
Yep.
So
Ruby girl.
let's leave the audience with the 3 things to go away with each and every day is peace, love, and lots of soul.
As a soul.
All right, great session.
Right
fellas.
on, guys.
Have a fantastic week. Make it awesome. Step into your fear, step through it and beyond it.
Be brave. Be brave.
That's right. Be brave.
Be brave.
Right on, fellas.
All right. Love it, guys.
All
Love
right.
you guys.
Yeah, love you guys.
Take care. Same here.
Okay,
Same
we'll
Talk
be
to
in
you
touch.
soon.
Take care,
Yep.
guys.